Hi everyone, welcome. I'm gonna kind of hang out. We're gonna hang out a bit while people come into the meeting room. I do thank you all for being here, and we'll have sort of more announcements as people come in. Now I'll just kind of sit here awkwardly. So I'm checking out the list of attendees. I'm happy to see people here. Thank you. Definitely good. So again, thanks for being here, everyone. I see it's 3 o'clock. Normally we try to wait a little bit to have people come in. We are recording this meeting, so it will be available on our website with links to access it under stakeholder resources on our OCM webpage. And if you have any concerns about how to get there, you can email us at cannabis@cityofsacramento.org. Just want to kind of put out some kind of rules of engagement and how we're doing this as people sort of continue to come in. So I'm Davina Smith. I'm the program manager for the Office of Cannabis Management. We've got a couple people with us today that are working. We have Zara Cruz and Jamie Lee that many of you know. We have Nick. We have some of our other team. We also have representatives from revenue, police, fire, code enforcement, all here hopefully to answer questions or assist if people have sort of questions that can be answered in this format. We are planning to take questions. So if you do have questions, we would ask that you put them into the Q&A, click on the Q&A icon and type your questions in there. You are able to call into this meeting. So because of that, if you're not able to type in a question, go ahead and send that question to us at cannabis@cityofsacramento.org, and we'll try to answer it over this broadcast. If we can't do it at this broadcast, we will email you back, and that goes for anybody else whose question we're not able to answer during this. We will definitely email you back. Just email your questions in and we will respond. So we're going to be answering them at the end, I think I said, in the order that we get them. I said this is going to be recorded, so if you're not okay with being recorded, you probably want to log off, then you can look at the recording later. So just want to kind of put that out there for people who may have concerns about being recorded. So that's sort of the kind of ground rules that we're doing anything that we're doing here. So I'll go ahead and start up our PowerPoint, and I want to thank everyone who's taking their time to be here. It's been a while, and I wish we could all be together in a big room. That's definitely what I enjoy more than this, but this is something, right? So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Oh, I should also say that this is new for the team and I, and we've been doing some dry practice runs, so we may have some technical difficulties. Hopefully not. Again, if you get kicked out of the meeting or something happens, go ahead and email us at cannabis@cityofsacramento.org. We are going to be monitoring that, and we'll try to help get you back in. Again, apologizing for any problems that may happen. This is new for us, and it's a new frontier. So welcome on this journey with us. All right, so here's the PowerPoint. Let's get over there. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see that. All right, so of course, our permits update, we have a number of things going on right now. We've got 286 permits that we've approved, or conditional use permits that have been approved, which is great. So that's 286 locations for cannabis businesses to go in, which is super exciting. For the BOPs, we've received over 500 applications. I think when we were calculating that up, we were pretty amazed. That's a pretty awesome number. We've issued 148, 137 are operational, 11 are still non-ops. We're actively processing 240. We've denied 23, and of course, inactive withdrawn 136. You know, people change their minds and things happen, but those are exciting numbers for the city of Sacramento, and I think it's pretty cool. Okay. So COVID-19, we did want to update people as to what's been going on and what's happening. We are telecommuting your OCM staff. If you've contacted us, you may know we're best way to get a hold of us is through our email address. We try to get back to you pretty quickly. Because of all the shelter-in-place orders, of course, we haven't been able to meet. We haven't had any kind of in-person meetings. So this is our foray into the virtual world, and hopefully we can do this again as needed until we can get back together. We are uploading documents into Acela. So we're asking applicants to just upload the documents, do everything electronic, and we're issuing permits electronically. So that is kind of what to expect on that side if you are in the permitting portion. For BOP walkthroughs, right now they're happening on Tuesdays and Wednesdays with, if you've got a certificate of occupancy, a temporary certificate of occupancy, or if it's pending. So make those appointments, those are happening. We are trying to limit the number of people just for everyone's safety at those appointments. For distribution and delivery walkthroughs, we've been noticing lately that sometimes the vehicles are out, and that just means we have to come back again to inspect the vehicle. So try to make sure that the vehicle is there when we do our inspections. So that way code doesn't have to keep making appointments with you and keep coming back. We can just sort of be one and done. And if you do need a walkthrough, again, it's cannabis@cityofsacramento.org, and we will go ahead and schedule that for you. Okay, so code enforcement, they are doing inspections. So as you can see here, the inspection schedule, it's pretty straightforward. Cultivation about every 6 months, distribution, manufacturing, delivery only dispensaries about every 60 days, and dispensaries about every 30 days. Secured loading area is super important. We do really want you to have a secured loading area for cannabis transport. And for cash, right? For putting cannabis in cash. I think we've seen with some of the issues that we've been having lately with some break-ins that's an important issue to think about, security and the other things that you can do to keep your business safe and your employees safe and you safe. The revenue counter, it is open. It's on a limited basis, and you can make appointments for cash payments. Revenue will be talking to us tonight, and so they will have more information about kind of what they're doing now during COVID-19 and some of the things that they're offering. Our fire department folks, they are doing inspections as well. It's Tuesday through Friday right now, and you want to make sure that's sort of one of the last things on your list, right? All the other inspections have been done. So we've included the email addresses there in order to schedule that. So they're there for you to help you out and try to get that checked off your list. For the building and planning, the public counter is closed. Everything is going online through Citizen Portal. You know, you can, of questions, you can contact planning@cityofsacramento.org. So we're going to try to help you as much as we can. Planning will help you as much as we can as we all try to figure out this remote access world. For building department, you can request services for TCOs in particular. If you need it, you can request an extension of your TCO. They're not charging for that. It is important to note that the final certificate of occupancy isn't going to be issued until inspections can be done in person. So that's something we need to sort of think about, and we're trying to work with people on that and be as flexible as we can be. If you've got an HDB issue, of course, you need to contact the inspector that you've been working with. And then, of course, Jeff Brooks is the contact about that building if you have questions about your building permit. His email address is here. We have instituted a payment plan for renewals just because we've heard some people needed that. So this is what we're trying to do to help people out. There's no interest involved. We're just trying to tear it down into 4 monthly payments to kind of let people sort of pay over time. There's a pretty easy form to fill out, just saying that you agree that you're going to do this, and we agree you're going to do this, and hopefully that will help folks out that are finding times to be a little bit tight right now. Some of the interesting things that have been happening, of course, we've sort of okayed curbside pickup at 20 of the storefront dispensaries, both the state and OCM. We've sort of realized that this is something that needs to be done right now during COVID-19 times. For live scan delivery and distribution drivers, previously we needed sort of that to come back before that person could work as a driver. We've gone ahead and allowed just people who have taken the live scan, show us your receipt of a live scan, and we're willing to sort of allow you to have that person work for you pending, final live scan results. So you just have to fill out that business information change form, give us your live scan receipt, and then we're good to go and good to get that person to work, and good to have someone for you out there doing the work you need. Appeal hearings, for folks who are interested in that, all hearings were sort of postponed by the City of Sacramento. We hope to have more information later in June about when those are going to be resumed. Currently, we have no information on when the cannabis hearings will be taking place. So we do have some interesting policy updates, kind of exciting. We've got 5 new permits that are going to be coming in 2020 for storefront dispensaries, and then 5 more in 2021. These are going to be available only to core applicants. And so in order for that to happen, there's a couple of actions that are going through the City Council now, or will be going through there shortly. We're doing amendments in Title 17, that's the land use planning side, basically to allow more places where cannabis storefronts can go, and sort of talk about where cannabis businesses that are not storefronts should go in the Del Paso Arden Way. So those are currently scheduled to go to council on June 16th. So we'll see what the City Council decides to do with that at that time. We're also looking at amending Title 5, which is the cap on the number of dispensaries, up to 40 now rather than 30. And then we're looking at doing some of the other things we need to get those permits out. So that includes resolutions establishing that lottery procedure and changing of the count of the city code to allow that. Right now, those are sort of being reviewed by our legal division, trying to make sure we all don't get sued, which is a nice thing. So we will proceed with that once we have the all okay. So those are kind of exciting things. As far as the lottery itself is concerned, we're still kind of looking at that qualified or 2-step process, where you kind of show us that you are business ready and that you have a high likelihood of success. And then based upon that, we'll take scrape off the top X number, and then put those in sort of a blind lottery. That's what's currently being proposed after the stakeholder meetings that we've had. That seemed like a good compromise position, and people seem to be sort of acknowledging that, yeah, this can work, this can work. So that is a good thing. We are going to be updating, of course, our core update page as things come out. We also send out information on our core stakeholder email list. So if that's something you're interested in being on, if you're not already, go ahead and send us an email and we'll put you on that list for more updates. As far as timing, we don't have timing and dates. Again, we're really just waiting to see what happens with our legal review and kind of what the council decides to do with that. So we're going to move forward when we can. And we'll definitely let you know as we get more information. So we've talked before about incubators. As far as the core incubators are concerned, this is something I think that's starting to generate some buzz in the city, and I think it's really exciting. I think we've been looking at expanding incubators and maybe adding another tier like a business accelerator to those definitions. We are looking for suggestions as far as like what incentives would be good for either side, either someone who's interested in being incubated as well as someone who wants to be an incubator. What incentives would you need to do this? So please contact us. Again, cannabis@cityofsacramento.org. And as it says, put core incubators on the subject line, and then we'll make sure and compile them and put them together. We do anticipate in the future having a meeting just about incubation and business acceleration. And we look forward to including your suggestions in that time, and we can discuss it. So we think that'll be good. Okay, so the state has sent us a survey. They are looking to get information from what sort of the landscape of cannabis is in the various jurisdictions that have allowed it. So they sent this form out to us and to all the other jurisdictions. Basically, it's asking about local permit status. Do you have one? Are you applying? Are you a core member? And then sort of, you know, what are your personal demographics? We're going to send it out by email. You know, we appreciate the state wants to do this. You know, this isn't something that we at OCM are collecting. We care about you. We don't want to necessarily be up in your business like this. So, you know, this is something that we're collecting for the state. I think it goes to help them show kind of what does the cannabis industry look like in the various jurisdictions. We're going to send it out. It's up to you if you want to fill it out. We may be sending out them throughout the year. If it's not something you want to do, then you can just fill it out and say decline to state, or you can just not return it at all. Just want to let you know that will be coming. I can tell you that one of the things that may be beneficial about this is, you know, we may have more ability to apply for grant funding, depending upon if we can get information, demographic information from the state about this. So that's just something to kind of put in mind, and you won't be surprised if you get something like this. Okay, so looking again at the core program, we do have 21 applications that have been submitted by core individuals, certified core individuals. There are 5 joint applications submitted by more than one core applicant. So that's kind of exciting that people are kind of working together on this. We have 4 people who have more than one BOP application. 8 of our core folks have received a BOP or a prior BOP that's been converted to core. And then we have 7 people who have been sort of certified core and they haven't yet submitted a BOP application. So no pressure, but we'd love to have you submit your BOP. So look forward to that in the future. Congratulations, everyone. Grant funds. So we did receive equity grant funds. I know we've talked about this a couple times. We just kind of wanted to update people about where we are. There are 2 different grants we're going to be talking about. First is the BCC grant fund. We got $1.2 million. We've received that money. We've started up a reimbursement program. We've had 14 requests for reimbursement, and those are for up to $25,000 per business operating permit. So that is exciting. So those are being processed. I know people are like, well, where's my money? Where's my money? Unfortunately, with COVID-19, things are a little slower just because a lot of people are working remotely. So those processes to actually kind of get a check cut in the city have slowed down a bit. We will do our best to kind of let you know once everything is complete and you're sort of in the hopper to get a check cut. And we will try to update you again as we learn information. So thank you to those people who submitted for reimbursements. I think it's great. I do want to talk about something though that we've been thinking pretty hard about here, and that is because of COVID-19 and a lot of the economic impacts that people are experiencing, we've been talking internally about morphing that business reimbursement program into a grant program. So instead of, you buy it up front and give us the receipts, and then we pay you back, maybe just saying, you saying, this is what I plan to spend it on, we giving you the money, and then you providing us the receipts so that we can kind of close out that file with the state, and they know that this was money that was spent on a cannabis business startup costs. So we're looking at maybe morphing the program to that, given that right now I think people may be finding it tough to find that sort of startup cash to get reimbursed. We're kind of looking at different ways of doing it though, and so we wanted to throw this out there for people to think about and give us suggestions on what they'd like to do, what they definitely don't want to do. So one of the things we talked about was trying to work with our counterparts in planning and seeing if we can deposit money into a credit fund for the conditional use permits, so that you would go and you would say, yes, I'm a core member, and I'm eligible for this sort of reimbursement payment for my CUP. So here's 16, and then basically it would be kind of this seamless thing where planning would just sort of dip into that account on your behalf to pay for the CUP. So that's one possibility. Something else we're looking at is, okay, if we do direct grants to core eligible folks, do we want to do wide and shallow or narrow and deep disbursements? And what we mean by this is, do we want to give 100 people, I'm just throwing numbers out there, 100 people $5,000 each in order to sort of spread that out and touch as many people as possible and give everybody that little bit of help they may need? Or do we want to do narrow and deep, right? Where we give $25,000, $50,000, $30,000, whatever it is, to 20 people to really kind of get them over that hump they need to get to really opening their business or expanding their business to where they want to be. So those are kind of the things we're looking at. Definitely hit us back either in the Q&A or send us an email at cannabis@cityofsacramento.org, and we'd love to know what you guys think, because we we're kind of going back and forth here in the office about what would be best. So break the tie. So we got a second grant, and this is our more recent grant, and this is from GoBiz, which is the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. This just went to the City Council in a resolution to accept that grant, and so we haven't received any funds yet. We anticipate maybe late June, early July getting actually money in hand. We're looking at using these funds for a no-interest loan program that would pay for those cannabis business startup costs. So we're pretty excited about that. We would not be doing that in-house. We would be doing it basically with a third-party coordinator. So we're kind of working on that end right now to see where that's going to go. One thing that we're aware of is that funds have to be expended by August of 2021, unless the state's able to give us an extension of some kind. So just want to let people know, if you're a core person, then we're going to be looking to aggressively loan money out, as weird as that sounds. So it's pretty exciting to have that much money to be able to loan out, and we're really hoping that this will be sort of change money, so this will be changing things significantly for folks, and we're really excited about that. All right, so I am going to unshare my screen now, and I am going to give this over to Renelle, and she was going to talk about some BOT information. So thanks everybody for listening, and Renelle, it's all you.
All right, wonderful. Well, I see we actually have quite a few participants here, so thank you for joining us, especially with everything else that's going on. We definitely appreciate you taking the time to hear what we have to say. As Davina pointed out, this is, new for us, so bear with us. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we can go ahead and get started. Okay. So wonderful business tax, everybody's favorite favorite topic, taxes. Some of you may have seen this, so this might be repetitive information, but basically who pays business tax? It is companies and individuals that are engaging in business within the city of Sacramento. That does include even folks who are not located in the city of Sacramento who come into the city to do business. So it does not necessarily limit to just businesses located in the city of Sacramento. Business tax, you would apply for an account, and then you do receive a business tax certificate on a monthly basis, because that is how businesses pay. So you will receive a certificate. They are mailed out, and usually will be received within a week to two after the payment has been made. They are mailed snail mail. So if you are not receiving your mail, or you're having some problems, make sure you let me know. And how do you get a business tax account? You can go online to apply for a business tax account. You can do it in person. Of course, not right now because our front counters are closed, but at some point you would be able to come back in and do in person. We're definitely encouraging people to do online. It's quite easy. You can also do it by mail, or you can email me. We do have our business tax applications online as well, but you can always email me and send it back to me, and I will get it set up for you, and also email you back with all the information that you might need to know about your account. And also, even if you're not currently operating, but you are applying for a business operating permit, you can go ahead and sign up for a tax account now. I believe that is actually part of your business operating permit application. And we will keep your account in a pending status until the time that you are actually operating and need to start remitting your taxes. And how is business tax calculated? It is gross receipts times the rate. The rate in the city of Sacramento is 4%. So an example would be if your gross receipts are $8,595.72, totally random number, times 0.04. The tax that you would remit to the city is $343.83. We also have a state fee. It is $4. It's assessed annually in January. So you will see this on your business tax renewal form online, excuse me, on item E of your business tax renewal form. Again, you will only see this, coming every January. It is assessed annually. And then for those businesses that are in a business improvement district area, you will also see on your form on item G, you will see a way to calculate your business improvement district fee. It is different for every business depending on what district you're in. I believe there's very few of you who are actually in a BIA area, but for those of you that are, make sure you do pay attention to what area you're in and how to calculate that. If you have questions about it, let me know. I'm always available. And then just to give you guys kind of an example, this is the bottom portion of the form that you would receive. This kind of helps you when you're reporting and calculating your gross receipts, how to fill it out. As you notice, line E, it says over and under payment, but you will see the $4 here. At one point, we did have it on line D. We've made some changes, so you won't see it here any longer. You will actually see it on item E. Again, this will only show up in January. If you do at any point have any additional under or over payments, you will also see it on line E. So do take note of that when you are completing your renewal forms. Again, if you have a credit, it will show with the parentheses. So you do want to make sure you deduct that when you're calculating your payment. And if you have an amount there without parentheses, that means that is a remaining balance. Again, questions, let me know. And then if you notice here on item line G, this is kind of just an example of one of the business improvement areas, and it looks very complicated, but this is how you would go ahead and calculate it. And again, that's only going to affect a small handful of you guys. So you do want to add that into your calculated payment amount every month when you pay. And what are gross receipts? The gross receipts are inclusive of the total received from all sales, and you will not deduct any business expenses. What you can exclude when reporting your gross receipts would be excise tax, sales tax, and cultivation tax. So again, I'll go over that again. When you are reporting your gross receipts to the City of Sacramento and to calculate what your payment is, you want to make sure that you are not including your excise, sales, or cultivation taxes. If at any time you have questions about this, again, please let me know. We'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction. When do you pay business tax? We collect business tax on a monthly basis. You will pay by the last day of the following month. So for us being right now in June, I can't believe that we're already in June. It seems crazy, but for us that are paying for May right now, you would have until the end of this month to pay for May. And if you don't pay for the last day, or if you don't pay by the last day, we do assess penalties on the account. We have a first and a second penalty. First penalty, if it's not paid by the following month, is $15. Penalty for non-payment by the next month is $100. And how to pay business tax. We accept all forms of payment for business tax, cash, of course, check, money order, credit card, and ACH. If you are wanting to do an ACH payment directly through your bank, please email me. There are some instructions and information I can provide to you, our bank account and such, so that you can facilitate that. And for cash payments over $2,000, or as Davina pointed out right now, due to COVID, we are accepting appointments for any cash payment that you need to make. You will email marijuana payment calendar at cityofsacramento.org, and we will set you up for an appointment. We do have a secured room, but we are actually, making adjustments due to COVID. We've always worn gloves, of course, as you probably are aware for those of you that come in. But we are masking up, and we're using lots of sanitizer, and we're definitely, trying to take this COVID situation into account. So if you do have a mask, we encourage you to bring your mask and wear your mask. But again, we are making cash payment appointments for, any amount of cash at this point. Again, we are, of course, encouraging, if you have other ways to make payments at this time, do that. If you are doing payments by check, you can mail them, of course, but we do actually also have a drop box on the outside of City Hall, New City Hall, which is 915 I Street, and it's a drop box on the H Street side. So you're always welcome to just drop your payment in there, and we will process it timely. But we do also want to encourage folks to use a new system, a new way of making cash payments, and it is through Dama Financial. And it is to sign up basically for a cash to tax account. It is the ability to make a payment online using cash, where you'll have an armored car that would come pick up your cash and deposit it into a bank account, and then the payment can be made after that online. The city actually is taking one cost of the pickup of one pickup per month. Excuse me. And so we do have that to offer. Take advantage of that. Again, just what is a cash to tax account? It lets you pay city tax online instead of in person with cash. So instead of you making a payment appointment and having us come pick up, or having us count the cash right there, we would have an armored car that would come pick up the cash for you, deposit it into an account, and then you can go online and actually pay your taxes electronically, which is awesome. And here is some information of how to apply for a cash to tax account. We will of course make this all available online. So if you don't have a way to jot this down, fret not. We will make sure that this is available, as it's probably already available online, but we will definitely make sure that we do that. And I think that's it. If you, of course, have any questions at any point in time, either throughout this or later on that you think of, most of you know that are familiar with me that I'm more than willing to answer questions. So please hit me up.
Thanks so much, Renelle. I appreciate that. And that's good information to have. So just kind of, we're coming to the end. If you have questions, go ahead and send them in. I know we have a few. So we are going to be getting to those in just a second. I did want to take a moment and just say thank you to California Urban Partnership, the Greater Sacramento Urban League, and the Sacramento Asian Pacific Chamber of Commerce. They all sent in letters of support to the City of Sacramento's application for this last GoBiz grant. And it was very, very nice of them to do that. And we really appreciated their support in that. So thank you to them, absolutely. So going forward, we have some questions. Let's see, it looks like a couple of them are about the CORE program and how you can become, see if you are CORE eligible. Let's see if I can, I'm going off my script here, so hopefully it'll work out. If you go to our website, which is, you can just type in Office of Cannabis Management Sacramento, and you will get this website, Office of Cannabis Management. You'll go ahead and click on Municipal Functions. And then you see at the top here, it says CORE Program. You can click on that. And then if you go to the bottom, it talks about how can I apply? And of course, those are our CORE partners, Greater Sacramento Urban League and Sacramento Asian Chamber of Commerce. As far as the categories, we have the classifications down here, right? Classification 1, Classification 2, and so on. So this should give you basic information on whether you might be able to be eligible for CORE. And then of course you can contact, again, either the Greater Sacramento Urban League or Sacramento Asian Chamber of Commerce. They are the ones that do our CORE verification for us and also do classes for our CORE folks. So good information there to have, and they have a lot of information on their websites too about how to qualify. Let's see, so I will stop sharing that, and looks like you're back with me here. Let's see, other questions. Someone wants to see the CORE slide at the end. All right, I will get to that in just a minute. Let's see here. Oh, a lot of questions coming in now. Wow, okay. Let's see. Brittany Crockett, she wants to see the CORE slide at the end. Let's see if I can bring that up for you. Hold on a second. I will go back and we will look at that. Okay. So sorry about this. Let's see. So this will also all be available on our website afterwards. So in case you have questions or you do want to see more of this again, hopefully this shows that I am sharing the CORE program by the numbers slide. And I think that's what the requester was looking for. So hopefully that will help. 21 applications, 5 joint applications. Yeah, so I will stop sharing that. And let's see what other questions we have here. It looks like there are a couple of questions about individual sort of BOPs and maybe questions they have about that. For those, I would definitely give us an email at cannabis@cityofsacramento.org, and we can answer those questions individually, because a lot depends on where you are in the process. So we're happy to help, but it sounds like for those questions you may need more individualized assistance. So let's see here. I have a question about, is there a reimbursement process or prerequisites checklist available online? I would look there to go to our reimbursement page, which again is from that core. If you go to that core website, like I just went through, on the left-hand side, there is a link that is for the core reimbursement program. So you'll see on the application there, we have listed categories of reimbursable expenses. And then there's also categories for other sort of open things. Basically, the state requires us to make sure that those reimbursable expenses are for cannabis business costs. So you can do CUPs, you can do state fees, you can do regulatory expenses, security plans, rent, rent deposits, things like that are all things that are allowable expenses. So if you have, you can take a look at that form. That'll give you a general outline. And then if you have additional questions, just send us an email and we'll answer those. Let's see. I have a question about how will delivery only work for loading and unloading in an office complex? That sounds like a question you probably want to ask. You know, it's going to be difficult. Secured loading is a requirement for delivery businesses. Matt Young, who's our liaison with Sacramento PD and goes out with his folks and reviews these, he's a good person to reach out to and contact. He can give you the initial information about, you know, what you need to do. In most office complexes, I think it's probably going to be difficult, but again, it just depends on the situation of that particular sort of building and how it's laid out. So definitely contact us or Matt Young. If you don't know how to contact him, we can contact us and we can get you in contact with him. He's more than happy to share his knowledge and time and go out and look over a place for you. Okay, another question. Says, how do we qualify for these grants and loans? Some require criminal backgrounds to qualify. So the core program is designed as cannabis equity programs in California are designed to basically to look at communities that were disproportionately affected by the war on cannabis. And so these communities are ones that people did get arrested from. People were, you know, impacted by the policing of cannabis in those areas. So I would say it's not just a criminal background. It's like, did you live in one of those areas? So I would definitely encourage you to look at the core qualifying criteria, because you can also qualify as a business. So that's something else to look at. So check out those qualifying criteria and see if you qualify. And if you do, you can certainly ask us or our core vendors who know a lot about this. They can answer questions you may have and help you determine if you are a core eligible individual. Let's see. I have a question about is the BCC not doing final walkthroughs until beginning of July, or have those been made available via webcam? I don't know. I don't know what BCC is doing with their inspections that they might have. So that's definitely a question you want to send to the state. And BCC should be able to answer that. They, I think they are working remotely. I think they might be back maybe a little bit to their offices next week. I'm not sure, but definitely contact the state for those state permit questions. Let's see, got a question. Says, can the city send out the plans on your thinking for the distribution of the 3.8 million? So as we said in our PowerPoint and what we've been talking about stakeholder meetings, our primary goal at this point is to use it for to use all the money really for a reimbursable, not reimbursable, a no interest revolving loan fund. So really we are looking to loan money out once that program gets up and running, loan money out to core people who are starting cannabis businesses. That's what we're looking to do with it. Okay, next question. It says, what will be the eligibility requirements for the 0% interest loans besides being a core participant? I think there will be, you know, there's an understanding, I think, that, you know, it's not like a traditional bank loan program, and I don't think that we're looking for that. I think we're really looking for people who are trying to start up a cannabis business. So, there may be some kind of loan education classes, something like that. But we haven't quite worked out what the eligibility requirements are. I don't think they're going to be super strict. I'll say that. We don't want the money to be wasted. We want the money to go towards people who are starting cannabis businesses. So that's really what we're looking at doing. But we'll have more information on that as we move forward in this process. So check back in with us. Let's see, I have a question. What's being done to expedite the whole application process, as it can take close to 2 years to get a permit to operate, which can severely drain any business of funding? So I will tell you, we do look at the application process. It is, it is a process. We fully acknowledge that, and it takes time, it takes money, it takes energy. We are one portion of this. So Office of Cannabis Management, we issue your business operating permit. We have certain requirements we have. So, we look at this, we're always open to refinement. So if there are things that you can think of that might assist in that can still sort of meet the needs that we have, both, from our code and from our regulations that we have to abide by, then absolutely, please let us know. We're open to input. So thanks for that. Let's see. I have a question here. Is the BOP tax form PDF? That might be a Renell question. Let's see. Oh, I think that's actually a Tessa question. I'm going to.
It is, we do have a PDF form. This is Tessa. And you can also apply and do it all entirely online, but the form that is online is also a PDF form that you can fill out and send in, email in, or turn in when we're open again.
Great. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that, Tessa. Okay. Let's see here. Hold on a second, technical. Okay. Okay, so next question is, what will the maximum amount CORE can apply for the Go Biz Fund? So that's the revolving loan program. Again, we don't have 100% worked out the details yet, but we're definitely looking at different caps based upon the type of business, with the acknowledgement that some cannabis businesses are more expensive to start up in than others. So for example, a testing lab, you're going to have a much higher outlay of equipment costs than you would if you're a delivery dispensary. Delivery dispensary, you need a lot more inventory, right? So and you may need cars and things like that. So we are looking at that and kind of looking at different ways of capping it. But a lot of it is sort of, looking at what the need is, and what are people, where are people at in their process, right? And we certainly acknowledge that there may be different caps based upon someone who is, just starting out, and needs to get a logo developed and talk to an attorney to draw up, papers, or leasing a place, something like that, versus someone who has a CUP, has a location, has applied for their BOP, and they need funding for a secured loading facility or something else like that. So looking at where people are in their process will also be a component, I think is one of the things that we're looking at. So again, that is, please stand by. We're working on that, and we hope to have information soon. I have a question about when this recording will be available to view online. As soon as possible, hopefully. Once this is all done, we hope to upload it. If not today, then tomorrow. It might be actually tomorrow, depending upon the time. But definitely within the next day or two, it should be available. And if you have a need for the PowerPoint or something beforehand, you can just email us and we can send it to you. But it will be all available on our website. Let's see. I have a question about who should you contact to assist with the step-by-step process to include a business plan? in addition to business plan templates, cater to specific licensing. So I can't, you know, I'm with the government. I can't really recommend one contractor versus another contractor. You know, I think if you are a core individual, you can definitely talk to the core vendor, either GSL or SAC Asian that you worked with, and they should be able to assist you with that. You can talk to other people too and see if they've who they've worked with and if they've been happy with that person in any assistance to develop that plan. Oh, there's honking outside, so sorry about that. Okay, so I have another question. Says the reimbursement form has demographics attached. Does this survey change this? So what this is initially when we applied for that grant, we were told that we were going to be asked to collect this demographic data from the people who were applying for the reimbursement program. So we developed that form and sent that out, and I actually just sent off today our first sort of stack of anonymous data. So I didn't even include the forms. I just, you know, we basically just took the numbers and did raw data and sent that off to the state. So there's not even any handwriting to identify anybody or anything like that. This new survey is sort of what the state is, I think, doing also, because that survey, they want that going out to all cannabis businesses in Sacramento, or all cannabis applicants in Sacramento, not just those who are receiving equity grant funds. So that's the primary difference between that demographic form attached to the reimbursement program and then this other sort of wider survey form. Let's see, I have a question about, do I have more details about how the lottery will work for the cannabis storefronts? You mentioned a blind lottery. How would that work? So right now, and of course this is all subject to legal signing off and the city council approving it, what we've kind of gathered from our previous stakeholder meetings is that we're going to try to engage in a two-step process, right? So the first step will be asking people to submit a business plan and other information showing that they are business ready, that they are likely to succeed in a storefront cannabis dispensary. And then we'll take the top, whatever percentage, 25, 30, 40%, whatever that is, the top scoring people, and then take those people and put them in your normal blind lottery, right? Your normal lottery where you just kind of pick balls out of a hat or something. And that kind of, you know, I think the idea is sort of it's sort of the best of both worlds. No one's terribly happy or terribly unhappy about that. We try to make sure that the people who are most likely to succeed in this business will be given that opportunity, but we don't particularly want to be the ones to say it's person A and not person B. So by taking the top scorers, and however many that may be, right, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then making a lottery out of those folks, we have some assurance that whoever gets those permits will succeed, but also we're not picking. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Okay, I have a question about, are you going to hold any more meet and greets for core members to meet active license holders, investors, perhaps virtual? So this is something that we at the city don't do. The core vendors that we work with, so the Greater Sacramento Urban League and the SAC Asian Chamber of Commerce, they can do these sorts of things. If there's interest in doing something like this, I don't know if we could actually do it. We could look into it if there's an interest. So if you ask this question, feel free to send us an email and we'll look into whether we can actually do it. I think for us, the issue, of course, is, you know, we don't want to be able to be in the position of saying like, oh, well, this person's a good investor and that person's a good investor. So it's a little problematic, but we can, if there's interest in it, we can look into that and again, take it to our legal division and see if they're willing to sign off on it. But thank you for that question. Okay, we have a question. How can an incubator apply for a rent reimbursement? So if you are an incubator as defined in our current core program requirements, definitely contact us and we can kind of work you through that. So that's what I would recommend. Contact us at Cannabis and we'll work with you. We'll probably contact our core vendors to assist that. But definitely, if you meet that criteria, talk to us and we're happy to assist. Let's see. I have a question about, in regard to the dispensary lottery, has we considered a percentage of product from core for shelf space? So this is a question referring to, should one of the questions on the two-step lottery, that initial step, should there be a requirement that a certain percentage of core shelf space be devoted to core products, either as a points, you get more points if you agree to do that, or as maybe even just a condition on the dispensary BOP. So those are things we have talked about and considered, the making that an element of the lottery. I think that there is some concern about that, just as far as how we would be able to sort of ensure that happens. I think it's, if we were to make it a requirement of the permit, then there's a little bit of teeth involved to make sure people are actually doing it and not just saying they'll do nice things and they don't actually do it. But this is something we're kind of looking across the board. I know that there are other jurisdictions that have equity programs that apply to all dispensaries, right? And they have to, you know, have a certain percentage of the shelf for equity products. So it's something we're looking at. We're definitely talking to our counterparts in other cities, seeing how it's worked, what the problems and the benefits that they see are. So it's definitely something to consider. One thing that's sort of interesting is just, you know, I had got the question recently about whether there are enough core manufacturers to sort of have shelf space, a certain percentage of shelf space. And, you know, the idea of, well, do we just want equity shelf space or just core? So local Sacramento versus just equity folks statewide. So that's another question that we're kind of asking internally and thinking about. It's a good one, and I think it's not one that that's gone away, and we're going to continue to look at it and think about it. Let's see. Can the city send or update on the status of core applicants from the slide 21? Oh, 21 applications, 5 joint, etc. So it looks like that person may be asking for regular updates on how many core applicants. And that's something we can probably put on our core website, just the current number of sort of certified core people we have, as well as the number of BOP applications from core folks. That's something we can definitely put on our website. So we'll make a note of that and try to get that on our website in the next few days. So thank you for that. It says, when will the city discuss the current moratorium on ownership changes for storefronts? Is that coming up at a future stakeholder meeting? So the moratorium on ownership changes for storefronts expired in mid-March. And so that is no longer in effect. So that's kind of what the status, that moratorium expired. I have a question about the lotteries, the time frame for the lottery for storefront dispensaries. We don't have an exact time frame right now. As I said, it's sort of in legal review. So once that is done, then we can kind of package it together. And based upon what our legal division says we can and can't do, we'll adjust kind of what we want to do with what they say we can and can't do, and we'll package that together, and then we'll go through that process. We'll have to go to the Law and Ledge Committee, and then we'll have to go twice in front of the City Council in order to get that passed. So as soon as we know what we're allowed to do, we will let everyone know and be very aggressive in our noticing, because we want people to have as much time to prepare for this, as well as to understand what to expect. And also, in all honesty, to go out and support it if they like it, right? Let the City Council know what your thoughts are about it. So we'll definitely let you know what that time frame is as we move forward. So thank you for that question. I have a question about, how do I find out about the lottery process for the storefront dispensary? So, and this person says, sorry, they joined a little bit late. So as we've been talking about, that process isn't happening yet. We're still sort of in the approval phase. So if you are on our core mailing list, we'll definitely be sending out emails, and it'll be on our website. If you're not on the core email list, then email us at cannabis@cityofsacramento.org and we'll put you on that list. Okay, I got a question. Can you also get money for an auxiliary business? That is an interesting question. So I think we would have to go back to the state and ask them if that would be an allowable expense. I think the problem may be is how auxiliary is that auxiliary business. For example, if you're a label maker or a packaging maker, they may need to have some assurance, and they meaning the state, may need to have some assurance that that is, you know, you really are just a cannabis business. You can't also sell to a candy manufacturer who's just making non-cannabis candy, right? Or some other non-cannabis business that you're serving. But you know, if there's interest here, we can definitely talk to the state and see if that is something that would be an allowable expense or not, or if it definitely needs to be cannabis. So thank you, that's a good question. Let's see, how many reimbursements can be submitted if operating in 3 of 4 areas? I think that means if they have 3 permits. So if you've got 3 business operating permits, you can submit a reimbursement up to $25,000 for each of those BOPs. So that's kind of what we're allowing is per BOP up to $25,000 in reimbursable expenses. Okay, next question. It says, I'm interested in being a core incubator host, would love to be a mentor for the program. I'm here to help. Thank you. We will definitely take your information, so appreciate that. We'll take, let's see, I don't think we're able to get your email from this, but if you want to send us an email at, again, cannabis@cityofsacramento.org with cannabis incubator or cannabis mentor in the subject line, we'll love to take your information, so thank you. Let's see, will the stakeholders meeting each month be held virtual during this medical situation? I think that's what we're going to try to do, depending on how successful this is. Hopefully people, looks like we've got a decent number of attendees, so that's great. We were kind of worried were people going to be able to come in. We've had some technical issues. So assuming this goes well, we'd love to be able to continue doing this. We think it's important to give information, to receive information, to sort of do as much sharing as we can. And we're still kind of evaluating platforms and how these things work. So I would, if you have thoughts about whether this worked well or didn't work well, let us know. We're trying to figure out what we can do to make sure that people's questions get answered and that information is going out as well as coming in. So constructive criticism is always welcome. So we do hope to have more of these meetings. It may not be on Zoom, it may be on a different platform depending on how things go. So work with us, be patient, and we'll make it happen. Are there any limits on cultivation licenses in Sacramento? Yes, so it kind of depends where you are. There are some city council districts in which there are limits on cultivation. So you can contact us at, again, cannabis@cityofsacramento.org, or you can contact planning, and they can, either us or we can talk about where you're looking at going and whether there are any limits and how close to the limits you may be. So contact us, give us an email, and we'll work with you on that. I see a question about where can we find the requirements for incubators. So that again is if you go to that core page on the Office of Cannabis Management website that I led us to earlier, you'll be able to find the requirements. I believe it's further down in the various categories. So that'll be where the requirements for incubators are. You can also contact, again, our core vendors or us at cannabis@cityofsacramento.org, and we can assist you with that. We have a question of, can you please address the timeline for BOP approval from submittal to completion? Is it first come, first serve, or if the business is ready to open based on construction? So the timeline for BOP approval is, you know, it really varies as to how, you know, right, how many things you have ready to go. So if you submit a complete application, you've already got your CUP, you submit a complete BOP application, you have everything, then you just need to have your inspections. If everything works out, there's no build out required. You know, it can be a quick, much quicker process. Generally what happens though is I think people don't have a good understanding about the various components, you know, that fire needs to sign off, that PD needs to sign off on the security part, that, you know, so there's all these things. We at OCM, like, we need, you know, if you are a corporation, you know, we need information about your corporation. We need these various pieces of information. So we're not trying to hide the ball. We try to give you upfront as much information on what we need as possible. So it's impossible to give a time frame, because that's going to vary, right, on how prepared people are and how business ready their location is. So I know it's not a good answer, and I'm sorry, but that's really the best I can give on that. It really kind of depends. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, this is a follow-up. Someone asked, is there a number of limited licenses that will be given in general? So the only licenses that we have limited in the city of Sacramento are our storefront dispensary licenses. That's currently capped at 30. The city council is looking at raising that cap and adding an extra 10 licenses over a period of 10 years. But those licenses, based on the direction given so far by the city council, will be only for core eligible folks. So that there is a limited number of those licenses, and the 10 that are going to be opened up are for core folks. Okay, I have a question from, let's see, okay, for the tentative grants OMC is considering, will CORE have to submit a proposal along with projected use of funds? I think we probably would be looking for that. And by proposal, we're not necessarily looking for a treatise on what you're going to do. I think if you're saying, you know, I'm looking for $20,000 of grant funding, I want to install, I'm on secured loading, so there's a secured loading cage. I have an estimate from a security company that it's going to cost, the cage itself is going to cost, I don't know, $9,000, and then to put it all in is going to cost another, you know, $12,000, or I'm just throwing out numbers here, of course, but you know, so tell us what you want to use it for, give us those estimates that you've received from companies, and I think that's really kind of what we're looking for. And then again, we'd have to talk with our partners at the state and see what kind of follow-up documentation. It may just be, you know, you sending us some photos showing that, you know, the cage was installed, right? And we can even take those photos when we go out to inspect. So, you know, so I think, again, we're trying to make the process easy. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Yeah, definitely contact us, and as we get more information and go further down the road, we'll have more information. Let's see. Has the party selected the third-party loan administrator? What is the requirements for the third party? Will the city give the requirements to the administrator on approval of the loans? So we have not selected a third-party administrator for the loan program. We are cognizant of the fact that we're kind of on a tight timeline, because those funds do have to be expended by August of next year. So we're looking pretty hard at already established programs, someone that can just basically hit the ground running here. So we're looking at whether we can do that or not. So that's kind of what we're looking at. The requirements for the third party that we're looking at really would be someone who has qualifications and experience in loan servicing and underwriting. As far as requirements for loans, we would definitely be working with that third party vendor on what we want to have those requirements be. So again, that's why, you know, we'll be figuring that more as we go along. Let's see. Sorry, I'm smiling because there's some nice comments that people have sent. So thank you guys. Nice comments already, so appreciated. Another question, can you explain the depth of the commitment of core ancillary services business products we're required to have? So I'm not quite sure how to answer that, because I'm not quite sure what you're asking. So currently, the city of Sacramento does not have an equity sort of program for delivery or storefront dispensaries requiring sort of shelf space like we were talking about earlier, or hiring requirements or things like that. So So I'm uncertain kind of what you're asking, or if that has answered your question. If that didn't answer your question, please send us a follow-up and I'll try to answer your question more directly. Okay, it says the state has created the provisional license. Does the city have this information? How will action be taken when the license expires? So we do communicate with the state on sort of their licenses and our licenses. And so we tend to share that information. The state, of course, if the expectation is that you'll make that provisional license a real license. We don't here at OCM, we don't have provisional licenses. So when we issue a business operating permit, that's real. That's what we have. But we do communicate with the state on those. Let's see, it says, what is the amount that you can apply for the loan? This person hopped on a little late and they apologized. So we haven't quite established that yet. We have, 3.4 million. We're going to need a couple $100,000 of that to pay for the loan underwriter and servicer. And the rest of that money we want to go directly to the loans. So in looking at that, if we, again, it's that idea of, if we were to cap all loans at $100,000, we could probably hit more people. If we are capping loans at $500,000, then we're going to be serving fewer people, but maybe getting more people over that hump. So that's kind of a conversation we're going to be having as we move forward in the process. And again, we think that we may be having different caps based upon not only where you are in your business, but also what kind of business, with the understanding that some businesses are just more expensive than others in the cannabis field. Let's see. Oh, okay, so the previous, thank you, the previous questioner that I asked to sort of submit a more specific question says the application asks for a specific plan to support the growth of core. So I think what this person's asking about is on our draft documents that we put out for the lottery, because again, they're draft, so they're draft. Those have to be approved by our legal division as well. And if they give us very contrary information to where we want to go, then those may have to be revised substantially as well. So that's why those are draft. I just want to put that out there for everyone. So the application that we put out that draft application does ask for a specific plan to support the growth of core. So the idea there is, we're looking at people who might be able to sort of provide that leg up, hand up assistance. Do you have an interest in sort of that long-term kind of support of core? And do you have any plans for that? And whether that's, whatever you may or may not, you may say, you know what, I don't have any, and that's legit, So that's kind of what I think that's asking for. Let's see, question for the loans, will there be a deferment period before we start repaying back the 0% interest loan? So I think we are looking at that. I know they're like Oakland, I think there's no deferment, and I think it's a 4-year repayment. So if you borrow $100,000 in Oakland, you have to have that paid back in 4 years. I think we are looking at a brief deferment. I think we're talking seriously about what that length of repayment would be. So, I think having a couple month deferment is probably a good thing, right? To get them, number one, you have to get the money, and then you have to start putting it into practice before you can maybe have money to pay back, right? So that's something that I am personally supportive of. I'll see if I can twist the arms of my colleagues and get that to happen. So we'll definitely see about that. But I think it's a good thing we should do, and we'll definitely see about that. Okay, how to go about using my VA benefits. I'm not quite sure what that question is asking. So please feel free to ask again, because I'm not quite sure what you're asking about your VA benefits. Well, there's another nice compliment. Thank you, folks. Appreciate that. This one in particular says that the team here is good and calls out specific people, and this is a great team, and we are lucky to have them. So thank you. Okay, next question. When do you plan to update the timeline for the core application process? Your website says the application process opened May 22nd. when will the final application be ready? The draft application is still on the website. So yeah, so this is what, again, one of those things that we had a draft timeline along with our draft documents, and our legal division decided they wanted to take another look at this, which, you know, again, that's a good thing. We want to make sure that we don't get sued and that this program is sort of put on hold. We don't want that. So that timeline is TBD right now. We are updating people as we know. So once we have the word from our legal division about what we can and can't do with that process, then we will let people know and we'll move forward. So stay tuned. Get on our email list if you're not already. Okay. Let's see. I have, so the person who asked about VA benefits asked permit. So I'm not quite sure what this sounds like. Maybe something if you should just email us at cannabis@cityofsacramento.org, and we can address that on one-to-one basis and provide you with some assistance. Let's see, another question. Within your OCM committee subcommittee, do you have current licensed cannabis operators that provide industry insight? How does a business become part of those conversations? We don't really have sort of subcommittees and committees. You know, we kind of say, hey, people, if you have insight and thoughts, let us know. So, you know, this is something that we could certainly look at doing if there's interest in having sort of a, you know, a group that meets regularly to talk about this. We do have various sort of stakeholder meetings that we have. We have them for dispensary operators. We have them for core applicants. We have general stakeholder meetings for those interested more generally in cannabis. You know, we could certainly go more granular. You know, I think that I personally kind of like that sort of more roundtable format. But if people have really compelling feelings about having a committee or a subcommittee, I'm happy to hear. Let's talk. Let's see. Question. If a potential investor owns another dispensary, are they able to invest in my dispensary or another core dispensary? So we are doing the dispensary, one owner, one dispensary. So probably not something you can do. Okay, next question. It says, in the unfortunate event a core cannabis business closes, are the owners liable? I'm not quite sure what's being asked here. Is it liable, you know, if someone like gets a loan through the loan program that's going to roll out, would they be liable? And there the answer probably is, you know, yes, you'd still be on the hook for the money. But if it's something else that you're asking, definitely write back and we will try to answer your question. Okay. Someone says, do we ask questions here or through the public comment? You can ask questions here, or you can send your questions to cannabis@cityofsacramento.org. Okay. Let's see here. Someone asks about, again, the disabled veteran fee question came back. Definitely contact us and we can talk about what we're able to do for disabled veterans. So again, cannabis@cityofsacramento.org. Let's see. Okay. Is the city considering extending the core program term longer? I believe it'll be over soon. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we just got information that, so there's a few of us that ventured into the office for this presentation, and we just got information that they're closing down roads around us here at City Hall. So we're going to have to be cutting this short. I apologize for that. We had hoped to go till 5, but it looks like we may have to leave. So for those of you whose questions we weren't able to answer, please do email us. We will try to get back to you and again offer, you know, as much individualized attention and answering these as we can. Last question is that is the city considering extending the core program term longer? I believe it'll be over soon. So that's the last question I'll be able to answer today. Basically, we went to the city council recently and requested that the core term be extended to match the length of time that our contracts are with our core vendors, GSL and SAC Asian. So currently that is considered, the core program will be expiring in April of 2021. We are intending to go back to the city council and ask for an extension. This is a pilot program. It was a 2-year pilot program. So, you know, we hope to have the demographic information, the evidence to show that the core program has made inroads and that it's been a good thing for the residents of the city of Sacramento. So we do intend to do that, and we'll certainly be looking for the support of core members and core supporters when we do that. So that's our plan at this point. Again, I'm sorry we can't extend this longer, but do stay healthy and well. Contact us. We will return your email, and we will talk to you again soon. Thank you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.